morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It's time to make something happen. Visit MakeSomethingHappen.TV to be a guest on our show. We're excited to bring you this special webisode featuring Van Jones, CNN commentator and author of the latest book, Beyond the Messy Truth. Special thanks goes to Rachel Hill and the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists. We hope you enjoy the conference. First off, our student representatives, followed by Mr. Van Jones. Hello, it's Audrey Wiggins from MakeSomethingHappen.TV, and we're on location at the Parma Snow branch of the Cuyahoga County Public Library.
And we're here to support the book signing for Van Jones, who is so gracious to come out and sit with us and give us almost like a press conference. Tell us about the purpose of his book, why he's here, he's going across the country doing this. And I was so happy to know that you young folks in the background here are going to step out. You're just going to say where they're from, you know, their purpose here, and what they're what they want to do. If you just start from the name of your school.
Hello, my name is Kevin Lamonica. I'm a student at Sugar Heights High School. I'm here representing SCORE, a student group on race relations, an organization at Sugar Heights High School that really focuses on race relations within our community and the greater world. We're here just to hear what Van Jones has to say about the current political climate and the current state of race relations in our country and how politics
Hi, my name is Renee Bowie. I am also from the Sugar Heights High School here representing SCORE. Louder. I feel so privileged to be here and actually see him and have this wonderful discussion. Just learning how to have these types of discussions and how to produce change effectively and welcome.
Yeah, I'm not going to say my name is Imani Stevens. I'm a Texas State University. I'm a communicator, and my major is journalism and promotional communications. And I'm just here. I have the honor and the privilege as an inspired writer.
Hi, I'm Reagan Leak. I am a student of journalism and French at York State University. I'm here representing the country. I was given this opportunity, and I was offered this opportunity, and I excitedly took it, realizing that this was an opportunity that isn't one that you get very often. To sit and listen to someone who has extremely educated opinions, is very knowledgeable on the political climate that's going on right now, and as an aspiring journalist, he's someone that is absolutely someone that I look up to.
Hi, I'm Casey Loveleen, and I am here with Reagan from Cleveland State here in Imani for The Cauldron, and I'm managing editor of our student newspaper. And I was extremely excited to have the opportunity to come here and ask Van Jones questions, especially considering everything that's going on our campus right now with just promotion about hate speech and free speech, and it was a wonderful opportunity to get some insight from him as a political commentator, and I'm just very grateful to be here.
Let's welcome Van Jones, CNN commentator, on the promotion of his new book, Beyond the Messy Truth.
I'm Van, and I'm in town because I'm on my book tour for my book, which is called Beyond the Messy Truth, How We Came Apart and How We Come Together. The book has been out for 9 days and is already a New York Times bestseller.
Congratulations!
Oh, it's so amazing to me. So I am here to answer any questions that you have, but just to start out, so we don't, I just want to say I'm very concerned about the country right now. I'm very concerned. People forget, democracies can fail. In fact, it's very rare for democracies not to fail. Sometimes, you can be in a situation where things have gone well for so long, you take it for granted. You ever been in a relationship that's gone well for so long, you took it for granted? And then you ain't had no relationship? Okay? Countries are the same way. And so, I wrote this book because I desperately wanted to put on paper what's in my heart based on what I've seen. Working at CNN, I've gone all around the country. But what I want you to keep in mind is that, like I said, democracies can fail. And so this book, I've gone all over the country, red states, blue states, big cities, red counties. I've talked to a bunch of people, and what I've come to understand is that there's common pain in the country. Wherever I go, I see the same thing. Different skin color, different, accents or whatever. But I see addiction wherever I go. I see poverty, and people who haven't had raises for too long wherever I go. I see a broken criminal justice system, a broken court system wherever I go. And therefore I see, too many funerals wherever I go. So you have common pain, but you don't yet have common purpose. And that's what's missing. And so rather than having somebody who is trying to unite us for a solution, my great heartbreak is we have a president that seems to just be trying to divide us over assigning blame for the problem. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. And now you have what I would say kind of super crazy in the White House, and now everybody's crazy. You have a president that seems to be ADD, and now we're all ADD. We look at our phones and go, oh my God, another tweet, and everybody loses their mind. And we aren't focusing on what it would take to just simply rebuild a coalition for good stuff. I do not believe that what's wrong with America is we have too many mean people doing bad things. I think that's a problem. The real problem is the good people don't know what to do yet. We have too many good people who just don't know what to do. So this book is trying to be an answer for that. It's trying to give you a way to think about what's going on differently. It's kind of tough love for both political parties. Look, both these parties should be doing much better than they are. And the whole last third of the book is just resources to help people. Books you can read, documentaries you can watch on both sides, podcasts you can subscribe to, organizations you can support on both sides that would get us to a better place, at least of understanding, if not agreement. So that's what I'm on the road for. I'm on a crusade against the crazy. I'm on a mission against the madness. And I believe that we can do a lot better. So I'm happy to take any questions. Yes.
Hi, I'm Casey Longley from Cleveland State for the Cauldron. So just a brief intro before my question. Currently on our campus, we're getting a lot of attention because some group put up anti-LGBTQ plus flyers on our campus, and our president and our university, the response from our president's gotten a lot of attention because a lot of students on campus are saying that it was more supportive of free speech and in support of hate speech than protection of the students. So this entire week we've garnered a lot of attention from NBC, Huffington Post, a lot of places. And so, I know that you've been publicly emotional and outraged at the violence in Charlottesville and Trump's reactions. So when you hear with violence towards a minority on our campus, towards the LGBT community, as a political commentator, what would your reaction be to that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't aware of this at the level that you are. So, without knowing the details, what I would say is that we're not going back on any of this stuff. Listen, we have a president of the United States who was afraid to serve in the military and didn't go because he said his foot hurt. And yet the same president wants to attack and disempower our transgender soldiers and war fighters who are courageous enough to do what he wouldn't even do himself. And so my message to the people who put up those posters is, you have a right in this country to be ignorant, and you have a right in this country to say things that are terrible, but you're going to look just like the people who were trying to oppress African Americans 50 years ago look. You're on the wrong side of history, and you are wrong if you think that this is going to be enough to roll back the progress that we have. You're not going to be able to do it. It's tough for university presidents because they do have to respect free speech rights for people, and I don't think that the students should be worrying about what the president of the university says. In most situations when you're oppressed, the government is not on your side anyway. So if you're a student, whatever the president of the university says, pro or con, is less important than what the students say for themselves. You are the next generation. You get to determine for yourselves what the standards are going to be, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I worry we have too many student movements that want the administration to do what the student movement should do. it's one, you go beg the president to exercise administrative power to force students to feel one way or another. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to have enough student power so the students themselves create an atmosphere where people stop doing stuff like that. And I'm very much encouraging students to own your power and own your voice, no matter what the president of the university says.
Thank you. Okay, so I read that you said the country is looking for a movement to inspire, not just critique. So as you're talking about millennials, like as a millennial, how can we use our voice to take action to control the situation rather than just responding to it after it already has happened?
Yeah, this is something that we're all trapped in. It's not just the young people. Everybody is now in this reaction pattern. So, that orange guy does something, and then you do something. And then before you can even get finished doing what you were doing, he does something else. And then you go chasing after that. And it's almost like you're a ferret just chasing after, glitter. And you can't even control your own day because you're so busy reacting to what he's doing. That's a part of his strategy. It's a part of Trump's strategy, is to keep people so upset and so divided and so distracted that we can't even have a plan. And so what I would just encourage you to do is to ask a very simple question. What do you want? Not what did Trump do, or what did some bigot on your campus say, but what do you want? And then start spending more and more time working on that. Because, what you probably want, are you a student?
Yes, I am at Cleveland State.
Cleveland State. What you probably want is a campus that has, more room for more students to be successful, to have scholarships, to have classes that you want to take, to have, lower student, debt. When you start fighting for the stuff you actually want, then, sometimes it's harder because people always want to be there when it's a big protest. They don't want to be there for the hard work, but that's okay. It's always that small number of disciplined, vision-driven people who make 90% of the progress. So when it's trendy and fashionable, a bunch of people show up for a protest, they're going to go away. But you want to get good at being goal-oriented and good at achieving your goals, not just responding to what bad people do. Yeah.
Hi, Monet Bowie from Shaker Heights High School. So we have something called the Shaker Bubble, where we have tolerance and acceptance, but it's not, as a reality, it's not like that in the world. So how do we as young people who can't vote yet, who don't really have the resources to make change, but also we're exposed to politics and news, how do we have better conversations and do that? I'm 16.
You're 16. So it'll be like voting in like 2 years, which to you is a long time, and to me it's called Thursday. So, you have tremendous influence within your peer group and the culture. First, I would say, distrust your algorithm. Okay? When you go on Instagram, and you follow one liberal, they will then suggest you follow 5 liberals. Then you follow 5 liberals, they'll suggest you follow 500 liberals. At no point will Instagram say, damn! 500 liberals? Maybe you want to follow this nice conservative person. So you will wind up not only living in a bubble on your campus, you'll be living in a bubble in your feed as well. What you want to be able to do is to search for those terms that you don't like. Search for white nationalist and follow people. Search for right-wing pro-Trump and follow people. Why? Not because you're going to necessarily agree with them, but because you'll be exposed on a regular basis to ideas that are different. And sometimes they do catch us on stuff. You're like, oh, well, that's actually pretty smart or pretty clever. We have to desegregate our feeds first. And don't trust, the suggestions. Silicon Valley is making a lot of money dividing people. And then we get mad at Trump, who's taking advantage of the divisions, but we participate ourselves. Yes?
I know that everyone has their own unconscious biases,
yes.
And as young journalists, we're still learning how to find our voice and to stray away from that. But when we write, those unconscious biases sometimes still come out.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for that and staying away from doing that, especially in this political climate that we're so unused to?
Look, it's better just to write. Just write. Write. Put it out there. Trust me. If you get it wrong, somebody will tell you. Ask me how I know. Okay? So it's, write, do your YouTube stuff, do your digital stuff, make your memes, put it out there. And then the world will come back and say, well, you messed up on this, you messed up on that. The problem I see is so many young people now, they're so worried about offending somebody or getting it wrong, they're not doing enough. They're not creating enough content. I was lucky when I was coming along, wasn't nobody gonna read your stuff anyway. So, you write and, you put out a little newsletter or a newspaper, something like that. You have to beg people to try and take it. Nobody would read it. But you got a chance to develop your skills before all of a sudden it's on the internet forever, And so that gives you guys a little bit of a concern. But what I would say to you is simply this. If you have an agenda, like you're writing because you want to help young black girls, then just declare your agenda, and then it's good. The problem is when you have an agenda and you don't declare it and you pretend that you're being objective. That's the problem. So if you want to be an opinion person, a commentator, I'm a commentator. I ain't got to pretend like I'm neutral. I'm on the left side of Pluto, for every issue. So, but everybody knows that. So it's not like I'm sneaking around trying to pretend like I'm something that I'm not. But the most important thing I would say is just write and publish and write and publish. There's no way around that to be successful. Yes?
This is more like personal, I guess. But do you have any gems to give to a college student like myself that's a junior in college and almost, getting to that next dimension of my life? Do you have any advice that you would give to me from getting from where I was to get where I want to be as far as my passion? Do you know any keys that you use that got you where you are?
Well, I don't know you.
Yeah.
So that's tough. I don't know your passions or where you were or where you're trying to go. So that Google map ain't never gonna load. But what I can tell you is this: you're not going to have a career.
Okay.
Okay. You're going to have many careers.
Okay.
Okay. And so the most important thing is whatever you do to give it your 100%, to go for excellence. Mm-hmm. Your worst enemies right now are your friends. Mm-hmm. Because your friends are probably just as broke as you are.
Yep.
Right? Your friends have not achieved the things that you want to achieve in your life. But they're going to be the first ones to give you advice, and you're going to be worried about if they liked your post or whatever. So your peer group winds up actually being your support group, but also your ceiling group. And what you want to be able to do is to find people who are ahead of you in line, who are already doing the things that you want to do, and pay attention to them and give them more influence over you. Some of the worst kids I know, young people I know, are incredibly talented and incredibly popular, and you're never going to make it. Because your little peer group of equally ignorant and broke people are going to give you too much feedback. Mm-hmm. You're going to spend too much time trying to deal with them, as opposed to people who actually maybe have had a paycheck, and have actually done something with their lives. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
With I say the ADD, the federal government right now, we have state and local elections going on. Are those important for people to get involved in?
Yes.
Because I saw a lot of times people just because of the federal government, what happened last year, a lot of people are so disenfranchised that they don't even want to touch, the ward people, the council people.
You gotta do behind you.
Okay. With this.
Well, look, I'll answer your question. I'll answer your question right directly. We have way more power at the local level than the state level than we do at the federal level, always. And our opponents, if you're progressive, the way they snuck up on us, they took those local elections seriously. And they got enough power to then gerrymander and rig the whole system from below, so that if you're progressive, you don't control Congress, even though 1.6 million more people in America voted for a Democrat to go to Congress than a Republican. 1.6 million. But because of the gerrymandering, they still control the House. So these state and local elections are very, very important. And if you don't participate there, all you're doing is making it impossible for us to get any success. Yes?
Van, your background is with green and sustainability.
Yes.
And you start off and now you kind of like you say have multiple careers and stuff. Now you're on CNN and by the way, I enjoyed your commentary on Prince when he passed away. My question to you is this: how are you coming back to green and sustainability as your background as far as it relates to what you're pushing in your book? Are you going to come bring the agenda back to green and sustainability as it relates to as a part of the building of the country and job creation?
Yeah, you know what's so interesting? I'm glad you raised that. If Trump really wanted to put those industrial heartland workers back to work in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, a clean energy revolution would be the best way to do it. You know, wind turbines, that's as much steel in a wind turbine as in, I think, 26 cars, something like that. 5,000 finely machined parts in each one. You know, you could put people to work with wind turbines, smart cars, smart batteries, solar panels, all that stuff. And yet he's talking about coal. I love the coal miners, but there's only 50,000 coal miners in America. There's 130,000 wind energy workers, 140,000 solar energy workers. You may have heard of a company called Tesla. So, you know, the future for those workers is with the clean energy movement. And with, considering that we now had climate disruption, you know, California's burning down, we got Miami and Houston underwater, I think we need to go back to that fight. I'm lucky. I work at a place called the Dream Corps, and the Dream Corps still supports Green for All, this organization you're referring to. So I'm still a part of Green for All, because I'm a part of the Dream Corps. The Dream Corps supports Green for All. It supports the criminal justice program. It supports Yes We Code, which I did start with Prince, and it also supports the Love Army. And so I'm glad I get a chance to work on many issues, but this is going to be very, very important. Yes?
After the election, I had decided that I really wanted to focus on cultural competency. As an educator, I feel as if it's my responsibility to try to impact change through education. So what do you think, what I can do to try to change what's going on in this country?
You can buy my book. Because it's a brilliant manifesto for people who want to make a difference. And there's a bunch of stuff in the back of the book that will help you as a teacher as well. Yes?
Yes, in one of your interviews on CNN last year, I believe you were on with Jeffrey Lord and Kayla McKinnon, you referenced, it may have been the day right after the election, I think you were referencing the bullying and bigotry and how you were going to explain it to your children. Have you found a way to explain it to the youth, and do you touch on that subject in your book?
Yeah, I talk about that in the book. I mean, you know, y'all act like racism just came to America in November. I'm gonna let y'all know, I've been black almost my whole life. You know, and this is not new. It's new that it has ascended to the place that it has, but it's not new for African Americans to have to explain to our children that the country isn't always fair, and that there are people who will be mean to us and mean to other people for reasons that are unjust. The political breakdown in the country is new, but that has to do with grown people in both parties not doing their job. You know, people, you know, should be mad at the status quo. They shouldn't go vote for somebody like Donald Trump. But, you know, this country hasn't been working for everybody for a long time. And both political parties signed off on these trade deals. Both political parties deregulated Wall Street. Both political parties built these prisons everywhere. Both political parties got us in these stupid wars. So people should be upset. Now, they shouldn't be upset and vote for crazy people, but they should be upset. And so, you know, I have no problem talking to my young people honestly about the underlying cause of people's frustration. Yes.
Last question. I work at a local university. I mentor a lot of journalism students. I'm a former broadcast journalist. I want to know your thoughts on whether you think we've lost a generation. When I look at the violence, the microaggressions that are going on at college campuses, and much younger little kids who are acting out and doing things based on the divisiveness in the country. In your book, do you address any of that? Just your thoughts on where we're going. Can we turn this tide for a generation?
I'll answer that. I saw one other question over here. Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
My question is for baby boomers. What can we do? We've come through the civil rights movement, and so all of this, like you said, is not new. but it gets us angry again. Our parents are gone who fought for all this. What can we do to make a difference?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not joking. I literally designed the book to deal with both sets of questions. I can't say everything I think on television, not because they won't let me, it's just not enough time between the people interrupting each other and all the commercials. So, and even here I don't have the time. But what I would just encourage you to do two things. One, go to lovearmy.org, especially the young people here. Lovearmy.org. We're organizing people to be in book clubs and to help each other. So you don't have to by yourself. So lovearmy.org, please spread the word about that. And then also just get the book and read the book. You know, I don't think that, I mean, have we lost a generation? Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. What I know is for 10,000 years of human history, people chopping each other up into small bits because they were in different tribes was normal. Okay, that was normal for most of human history. It's new, the idea that we're supposed to see our tribe as everybody, no matter what color, no matter what faith, no matter what gender. That everybody's in my tribe, and I gotta respect the rights of everybody and appreciate everybody. That's new. And so when you have something that, like, even in my lifetime, I mean, I was born in '68. They shot Dr. King in the face in front of his friends the year I was born, talking about the stuff that you think is normal. It was that radical the year I was born, that somebody talking about everybody loving everybody, everybody being together, that was so radical that they shot him in the face in front of his friends. And not one of his friends stopped fighting. Not one of his friends stopped working for justice. So now here we are, almost 50 years later, and you know, we got some weird orange dude tweeting, and folks about to like collapse. It can't go on. That doesn't make any sense. You know? In general, they're not putting dogs on you on your campus. In general, they're not putting fire hoses on you on your campus. You got mean, dumb people saying mean, dumb stuff. That's what you have. Speak back. That's all. Speak back. And fight for this vision that we believe in. But don't think it's going to be easy. And don't think it's going to be obvious. For most of human history, nobody thought the stuff you think is normal. Most people did not think that they're supposed to get along with people and love people who were in a different group. And the groups weren't even big. I mean, you're talking about groups of like 100 people and 100 people against everybody else for 10,000 years. So, you know, this is going to, you have to fight for this. This ain't going to be easy. And your president, your university president, not God. If he or she doesn't agree with you, so what? And you're going to sit up here and try to micromanage your university president and your roommate don't agree with you. So, you know, deal with that and build a generation that can actually take us further toward the goal. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So again, I want to thank the students behind me for being part of this video, and thank the library and our group for allowing us to be here, and Van Jones for writing this book, The Rest of Us, how we came apart and how we can come together beyond the messy truth. Thanks, Van Jones, and everyone. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. And remember to go to his website. What is it? Lovearmy.org. That's how we can come together. It's something we can do, grassroots. We have to make the difference. We can't just look up and say, what are the politicians doing, what are our legislators doing. We have to make the difference, and it starts with us. It starts with you. This makes sense.